Within every human being exists a version far greater than the one the world currently sees. This hidden strength, this sleeping power, is not something we must create. It is something we must awaken. Too often, people believe they are limited by their circumstances, their past, or the labels others have placed on them. But the truth is, you are not defined by what you have been through. You are defined by what you choose to awaken within yourself. The boldest version of you is not a stranger. It has always been there, waiting for you to call it forth. The process of awakening begins with awareness. Most people move through life half asleep, following patterns, habits, and routines without ever questioning them. To awaken your inner potential, you must first open your eyes to the truth. You are capable of much more than you allow yourself to believe. The limits you feel are not walls. They are illusions built by fear, doubt, and comfort. When you begin to see beyond them, you begin to feel the stirring of something powerful within you, something that refuses to remain silent any longer. Awakening is not sudden. It is a gradual process, like the rising of the sun. At first, there is only a faint light, but if you stay patient and attentive, that light grows stronger, revealing paths you could not see before. This requires stillness. It requires reflection. It requires that you look within and ask yourself, who am I truly? And who am I destined to become? The answers are not always immediate, but the more you dare to ask, the clearer your inner voice becomes. Many ignore this voice, drowning it with noise and distraction. They chase approval, they chase comfort, they chase temporary pleasures, and in doing so, they silence the deeper calling within them. But you cannot awaken your true potential by looking outward. You must look inward. The boldest version of you does not come from imitation. It comes from authenticity. It is born the moment you stop living for others and start living in alignment with your highest truth. And so, awakening your potential is not about adding something new to yourself. It is about removing what does not belong. It is about peeling away fear, shedding doubt, and discarding the false masks that hide your true strength. Like a warrior sharpening his blade, you strip away the unnecessary until only the essence remains, pure, sharp, unbreakable. The more you do this, the more your dormant power begins to rise, and the more you begin to meet the self you were always meant to be. Discipline is the bridge between who you are today and who you are destined to become. Without it, dreams remain illusions and intentions dissolve into nothing. Discipline is not about punishment or harshness. It is about commitment. It is the quiet decision you make every day to rise, to show up, to keep moving forward regardless of mood or circumstance. While motivation is fleeting and emotion shifts like the wind, discipline is the unshakable ground beneath your feet. It is the foundation upon which the boldest version of you is built. When you look at those who have mastered themselves, you will notice one truth: their strength was not gifted to them. It was carved through daily practice, through repeated choices, through countless moments when they did what needed to be done instead of what felt comfortable. Discipline requires sacrifice. It demands that you let go of laziness, excuses, and distractions. But in return, it gives you something greater: control over your own life. Every act of discipline is a declaration that you are not a servant to your weaknesses, but a master of your own path. The true test of discipline comes not in the moments when it is easy, but when it is difficult. Anyone can follow a routine when energy is high and life is smooth. But the real power of discipline reveals itself on the days when you are tired, when the world feels heavy, when doubt whispers that you should stop. If in those moments you still move forward, still honor your commitments, you begin to build an inner strength that nothing can break. It is in these moments that your boldest self is formed, step by step, choice by choice. Discipline also brings clarity. When you train your mind and body to obey purpose rather than impulse, the noise of life begins to fade. You no longer chase every fleeting desire or distraction because your focus sharpens on what truly matters. This sharpness is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Discipline is not about doing everything. It is about doing the right things consistently until they become part of who you are. Over time, discipline becomes less of a burden and more of a natural rhythm, the heartbeat of a life lived with intention. And in this rhythm lies freedom. Most people confuse freedom with doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But this is not freedom. It is slavery to impulse. True freedom is the ability to direct your own life with precision, to command your energy, to master your time. Discipline is the key that unlocks this freedom. When you discipline your body, your mind, and your actions, you release yourself from chaos and disorder, and you rise into a state where your life is no longer accidental, but deliberate. Fear is often misunderstood. Most people see it as an enemy, something to be avoided, something that signals weakness. But in truth, fear is not here to destroy you. It is here to guide you. Fear is a messenger, pointing you toward the very areas of your life that hold the greatest potential for growth. When you run from fear, you run from expansion. When you face fear, you uncover strength you did not know existed. Every moment of fear is an invitation to rise, to confront the edges of your comfort zone, and to step into the unknown where transformation lies. The boldest version of yourself is always found on the other side of fear. Think of it, every great achievement, every breakthrough, every deep sense of confidence comes only after facing something that once seemed impossible. Fear shows you the path you must take, not the one you should avoid. If you fear speaking up, it means your voice carries power. If you fear failure, it means success holds meaning for you. If you fear change, it means growth is waiting. Fear reveals the doorway. It is your choice whether to step through it. When you embrace fear as a teacher, you begin to see it differently. Instead of letting it paralyze you, you begin to question it. You ask yourself, what is this fear trying to show me? What strength is it asking me to develop? In doing so, you transform fear into fuel. It no longer shrinks you, it sharpens you. Fear becomes a mirror reflecting the parts of you that are not yet fully alive. It pushes you to grow stronger, braver, and more resilient than before. But embracing fear does not mean the absence of trembling. Courage is not the lack of fear. It is moving forward despite fear's presence. The greatest warriors, the greatest leaders, the most unshakable human beings all felt fear. What set them apart was their response. Instead of retreating, they walked into the storm. They understood that fear loses its power the moment you face it head on. Each time you confront it, you gain evidence that you are stronger than the shadows that try to hold you back. Over time, the relationship with fear changes. It no longer feels like a wall, but like a compass. You begin to welcome it because you know that where fear lives, growth lives too. It becomes a signal that you are on the right path, stretching beyond what is easy and familiar. Fear becomes less of an enemy and more of a trusted teacher, reminding you that boldness is not born in safety, but in the fire of discomfort. The more you walk with fear instead of running from it, the more you awaken a version of yourself that is unstoppable. Excuses are the silent thieves of potential. They come dressed as justifications, as reasons that sound logical, even reasonable, but underneath they are chains that keep you tied to the ground when you were meant to rise. Every time you say, "I can't because," you surrender a piece of your power. Excuses may bring comfort in the short term, but they rob you of growth in the long term. To cultivate the best and boldest version of yourself, you must break these chains one by one and stand in the raw truth of your own responsibility. Excuses thrive where accountability is absent. They allow you to point outward instead of inward. I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. I wasn't given the opportunity. These words may sound convincing, but they are often disguises for fear, laziness, or doubt. The truth is, no one begins with perfect circumstances. That is the number R. Those who achieve greatness did so not because the conditions were easy, but because they refused to be held back by them. The moment you stop excusing and start taking responsibility, you begin to step into true power. Breaking free from excuses requires honesty. It requires the courage to admit where you have been holding yourself back, where you have chosen comfort over discipline, where you have hidden behind words instead of taking action. This honesty is not meant to shame you. It is meant to liberate you. When you see clearly the ways in which you have trapped yourself, you also see clearly the possibility of release. Every excuse you let go of opens a door to action, and every action taken weakens the grip of limitation. Excuses often whisper in moments of difficulty. They appear when the path is steep, when the effort feels heavy, when results are not immediate. But this is precisely when breaking free matters most. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck lies in the response to difficulty. One person says, "It's too hard, I cannot do it," and stays where they are. Another says, "It's hard, but I will find a way," and moves forward. Both face the same challenge, but only one chooses freedom from excuses. And once you taste life without excuses, you realize how heavy they once were. You feel lighter, more in control, more aligned with your true self. Excuses no longer dictate your actions because you no longer allow them to exist in your vocabulary. Instead of saying, "I can't," you say, "I will." Instead of saying, "I don't have time," you say, "I will make time." Instead of saying, "It's not possible," you ask, "How can I make it possible?" This shift changes everything. It transforms obstacles into challenges and challenges into opportunities for growth. Life will never hand you certainty. No matter how much you prepare, no matter how much you plan, there will always be unknowns waiting beyond the horizon. Many people fear this and cling desperately to what feels safe, even if safety keeps them small. But boldness is born the moment you step into the unknown, not when you stay where everything is predictable. To cultivate the best version of yourself, you must accept uncertainty as part of the path and walk into it with courage. Courage does not mean that fear disappears. It means that despite the trembling, despite the doubts, despite the voices that whisper, "What if I fail?" you still move forward. Every great breakthrough, Every transformation, every powerful step in history was made by someone who did not know how things would turn out, but dared to step anyway. Uncertainty is the birthplace of growth. It is where comfort ends, but also where new strength begins. If you only walk where the ground is familiar, you will never discover how high you can truly climb. Stepping into uncertainty requires trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the process, and trust in the unseen. You will not always know the outcome, but you can control your actions. And when your actions are guided by discipline and purpose, you find that the unknown is not as terrifying as it first appears. Each step forward into uncertainty builds confidence. You begin to realize that even if you stumble, even if you fall, you are capable of rising again. The unknown does not break you, it shapes you. The boldest version of you thrives in uncertainty because it is there that your hidden qualities are revealed. Patience, resilience, creativity, and strength are not tested in times of ease. They are uncovered when you face what you cannot predict. That is the number R demands, that you trust your own adaptability, that you rely on your inner resources. That is the number R. The A, you discover the courage you didn't know you possessed. Every challenge you face in the unknown becomes a mirror reflecting not your weakness, but your untapped potential. And so when uncertainty appears, do not shrink back. Do not retreat into comfort or hide behind hesitation. Instead, take the step, even if it is small, even if it is unsteady. Each courageous step into the unknown expands your life in ways that certainty never could. You will find new opportunities, new strengths, and new versions of yourself that only reveal themselves when you dare to move forward without guarantees. The path may be unclear, but it is in walking it that you begin to build the boldest self you were always meant to become. Struggle is not a punishment, it is a teacher. Too many see hardship as a sign to stop, as proof that they are not meant to continue. But in truth, struggle is the fire through which resilience is forged. Without struggle, strength cannot exist. Without resistance, power cannot grow. Every obstacle that appears on your path is not there to block you. It is there to shape you. The boldest version of you is not born when life is easy. It is revealed when life is hard, when the weight is heavy, when the climb feels endless. Resilience is the ability to rise when everything around you says, stay down. It is the decision to continue when the easier choice is to quit. Every time you endure, every time you push through, every time you refuse to give in, resilience strengthens its roots within you. Struggle is the soil, and resilience is the tree that grows from it, unshakable, deeply rooted, reaching higher each time the storm tries to tear it apart. Without the storm, the tree would remain fragile. With it, the tree becomes unbreakable. When you face struggle, you also face yourself. You come face to face with your fears, your doubts, your insecurities. This confrontation is not easy, but it is necessary. In struggle, you learn where your true limits lie, and most of the time, those limits are far beyond what you imagined. Struggle stretches you, pushes you, forces you to discover that you can carry far more than you once believed. It shows you that weakness is not permanent, and that pain can be transformed into power if you refuse to bow to it. Resilience is not built in one great act. It is built in the small choices repeated again and again. Choosing to rise after failure, choosing to try one more time after falling, choosing to hold on for one more day when the weight feels unbearable. Each choice, no matter how small, weaves itself into the fabric of your character. Over time, those threads form an armor that allows you to face future struggles with calm strength, because you know you have already survived storms before. And this is the gift of resilience. Once it is built, it stays with you. Struggle may continue to come, challenges may still arise, but the difference is that you no longer fear them in the same way. You carry the memory of every past victory, every past survival, every past moment where you thought you could not go on but did. This memory becomes fuel, reminding you that no matter how heavy the struggle feels, you have the resilience to endure it and the strength to rise from it stronger than before. There is no greater strength than living in alignment with truth. Not the truth others expect from you, not the truth that changes with trends or opinions, but the truth that comes from within, the unshakable core of who you are. Many people build their lives on appearances, on masks, on lies they tell themselves and others. But what is built on falsehood will always crumble. To live boldly, to live freely, you must build on truth, because truth cannot be broken. It remains steady even when the storms of life rage around it. Living with truth requires courage, because truth is often uncomfortable. It demands that you look at yourself without denial, without excuse, without disguise. It asks you to acknowledge your weaknesses as well as your strengths, your failures as well as your victories. This honesty can feel heavy, but it is the weight that frees you. When you face truth directly, you no longer waste energy pretending. You no longer fear exposure because you have nothing to hide. And in that space, real confidence is born. Confidence rooted in authenticity, not illusion. Truth is also a compass. In moments of uncertainty, it guides your steps. When you are faced with choices, it whispers the path that aligns with your values, even if that path is the harder one. Many people betray themselves by ignoring this compass, that is the number R. The A is easy instead of what is true. But every time you walk away from your truth, you weaken your spirit. And every time you walk toward it, no matter how difficult, you strengthen your spirit and build a foundation that cannot be shaken by outside forces. Living with unshakable truth also means standing firm when others do not understand or agree. There will be those who doubt you, those who mock you, those who try to sway you from your path. If you are not rooted in truth, their voices will sway you. But if you are grounded in your deepest values, no external opinion can move you. You become like a mountain, silent, steady, unmoved by the winds that howl around it. This inner steadiness gives birth to a presence that others can feel, a presence that commands respect without demanding it. The boldest version of yourself cannot exist without truth. Boldness built on lies is arrogance. Boldness built on truth is unshakable power. When your actions match your values, when your words reflect your heart, when your life is lived in alignment with your deepest beliefs, you carry an energy that nothing can counterfeit. You no longer live divided, no longer torn between who you pretend to be and who you truly are. You live as one, whole and undivided, and in that wholeness lies a strength greater than anything external could ever provide. The journey to cultivating the best and boldest version of yourself does not end with you alone. It extends far beyond. True greatness is never measured only by what you achieve for yourself, but by the impact you leave on others. A life lived solely for personal gain may bring temporary satisfaction, but it fades quickly. A life lived to uplift, to inspire, to guide others, that is the kind of life that continues to speak long after you are gone. Building a legacy beyond self means recognizing that your transformation is not just about you, but about every life your strength will touch. Legacy is not built in one grand act. It is built in the daily choices that ripple outward. Every word you speak, every action you take, every example you set leaves an imprint on the people around you. When you rise, others see the possibility of rising. When you show courage, others find courage within themselves. When you refuse to give up, you give silent permission for others to do the same. In this way, your discipline, your resilience, your truth do not just shape your own destiny. They shape the destinies of countless others. To build a legacy beyond self, you must live with intention. Ask yourself, what values will my life stand for? What message will my actions deliver when my voice is silent? Legacy is not about possessions, wealth, or titles. It is about the energy you leave behind in the hearts of others. A kind word, a bold decision, a life lived in integrity. These are the seeds of legacy. And just as seeds grow into forests long after the planter is gone, so too will your actions continue to grow in the lives of those you touch. There will be moments when the weight of personal struggle makes you want to retreat inward, to think only of your own survival. But it is in those moments that remembering your legacy becomes most powerful. When you know that your perseverance may inspire someone else to keep going, your burden becomes more than personal. It becomes purposeful. Your struggles, your victories, your example may one day be the story that gives someone else the strength to rise. In this way, legacy transforms hardship into service. The boldest version of you understands that life is bigger than personal comfort, bigger than personal success. It is about building something that outlasts you, something that cannot be destroyed by time. Whether through your character, your example, your contribution, or your love, you are leaving behind a trail for others to follow. This is legacy, not words written on stone, but influence written on hearts. And when you live with this awareness, every step you take gains weight. Every action gains meaning. Every struggle becomes a gift that extends beyond yourself.